Okay, here we go. Here we go. Nantucket Shorts Festival. Okay, I thought it was the 9th year. It was started in it was in 2013. You did the math and you thought, okay, you subtracted from 2022, you get 9, right? I think I went to grammar school. It's 7 because we lost 2 years because of the wicked disease that Tim tried to cure single-handedly. And he did, in many ways, saved our lives. COVID is gone. We're not wearing masks, and we have films back on the screen. So we're so happy that you're here. Woo! We have filmmakers galore. We have 15 films for you today, whatever it is. 8 of them by first-time filmmakers, and that's kind of amazing, all right? 8 new filmmakers. NCTV brings this to you. Do you know about NCTV? This is where if you're a filmmaker, you want to go there. That's your Mecca, okay? That's your Dome of the Rock. That's where you go if you want to tell a short story. So after you see these films tonight, if you are inspired to make your own film, you find out where they are. If you don't know, it's over by Sophie T's, okay? I'm just saying. Across from the Chicken Box for the rest of you who know the Chicken Box better. It's amazing over there. You get, check their website, education classes, you get equipment, you get support from their team of people. Let's talk about the people who founded them. Dan Driscoll, oh my God, great filmmaker, we love him. Lisa Getter, the one and only, okay? I knew her when she was Lisa Fry, when she was a small fry. Now she's a go-getter. She's unbelievable. She is, a cinematographer. She is the heart and soul of the place. You'll see her backstage watching nervously as she gives birth to another film festival. Kit Noble, we love Kit Noble, filmmaker, photographer. Lance Kelly, I'm not sure if Lance is here today. He was on the island, he left the island, he's always around. We love Lance Kelly. So these shorts, so how do you do this short? So it's got to be between 2 minutes and 10 minutes. I didn't introduce myself. Nobody introduced me. If you don't know who I am, I'm John Shea. I am a filmmaker. I've made a couple of films. I acted in a bunch of them. You can go on Wikipedia, but I wrote and directed a couple called Southeast, set in South Boston with Donnie Wahlberg and Rose McGowan. I shot Gray Lady here on Nantucket with Eric Dane and a lot of great people. And so all I can say is that my hat is off to these filmmakers because I know how hard it is. I wore my filmmaking clothes today. Last night I had to be the MC for an entrepreneur dinner, and I wore a suit, business thing. The real deal is that it's boots and it's a hard hat occupation, being a filmmaker. It's cold, it's freezing, there's no money, it takes forever. And it's so fantastic to have a film that lives forever, as these films will. You can go to the NCTV website, and you can see all the films for the last 7 years. They're there. Your films tonight, I say that to the filmmakers, are going to be there. And you can go on there, you can scroll them, you can see them, they're there. They're like footprints in this eternal beach that we live on, okay? So you have voting sheets. You're going to fill in the awards that we're going to give 2 prizes tonight. We're going to give the Audience Award for the best filmmaker. That's your favorite film. It's an Audience Award. You have to vote on that. And then we're also going to give for the first time the best new filmmaker. And since we have 8 new filmmakers, that's going to be a competition. And after the screening, I'm going to do a Q&A. We're going to ask the filmmakers who are sitting in the first couple of rows to come up. I'm going to do a Q&A with them while the votes are being tabulated back in the lobby. And then we're going to give out the awards. So that's it. I'm going to be quiet now. And I'm going to enjoy the films like you are. I'll see you later. We'll have some fun. Enjoy the films. The Nantucket Shorts Festival. Here we go.
In 1883, the former Dreamland building was dismantled and moved from Main Street to Brant Point. In 1906, it was floated whole across the harbor back to the downtown area. What follows is an historic reenactment of a conversation that may have taken place during that voyage.
So what did the guy pay for this thing anyway?
About $3,000.
What? That's crazy. Now, come on, who in their right mind is going to spend $3,000 for a building on this island?
Oh, definitely. Never heard of prices that high ever.
Never, ever.
$3,000. Wow.
You know, this building used to be up on Main Street.
Yeah.
Then they moved it down to Brant Point.
Yeah.
And now we're moving it back.
Well, apparently so.
Yeah, I wish they'd make up their mind.
I know it, Robert. These 20-ton buildings do not move themselves.
Got that right. Yeah, so what are they gonna do with this thing anyway? Store dried fish in it?
Oh, they plan to use it as a meeting house and a dance hall. And to show some of those new moving picture shows.
Come on. That's a fad.
A fad?
It'll never catch on. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Think so?
Of course, come on. People are not gonna want to spend all their day looking at a screen. Not when there's fish to catch and boats to rig and baskets to weave.
Well, you've got a point.
Of course I do.
In a dark room.
Yeah, exactly.
What if there were snacks?
Snacks.
Yeah. Like what if they brought you food while you watched the moving picture?
Like sardines?
Yeah, well, maybe. Or like popcorn.
Now you're talking.
Yeah. Sardines and popcorn sound pretty good right about now. Oh, and the non-parallelogram, those little chocolates with the white dots on them. You know.
So they paid $3,000 for this thing and they're gonna use this perfectly good building for entertaining folk?
That's what they say.
Yeah, well, I have my doubts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm thinking in a few more years, you and I are gonna be moving this structure somewhere else.
Well, I hope it's Monomoy.
Monomoy? Who the hell would want to live over there?
Robert, you really think this thing isn't gonna last, do you?
Just a dream.
Dreams are nice.
Dreams are for dreamers, Tom. We are doers, men of action. The dreamers are the ones that just aren't being realistic. You know, they want to fill our heads with all the fanciful stories and foolishness. Imagine how many sardines you're gonna have to sell to make back all that money.
Well, I have to disagree with you there, Robert. I think this is the start of something big. Something new, something important. I can see a time when people all around the island, hell, even people who don't live here, will come and buy a ticket to go inside. There's gonna be vaudeville, music, plays. There's gonna be comedians making people laugh. People on the stage talking to the audience about important things. There's gonna be a symphony in there, Robert. But that symphony won't even be in the building. It'll be in a building hundreds of miles away. But it'll sound like it's right there in the building with you. But it's not. But it is. But it's not. But it is. But it's not. And it'll work the other way around, too. People will be at home, and things that happen on this stage will get broken up into billions of tiny pieces and sent through the air.
Through the air? Like the air?
And then glued back together in the person's home, and they can watch what happens on this stage in a little screen in the palm of their hands.
Tom, you feeling okay?
It's gonna be huge. Summer blockbusters with space aliens and stories about killer sharks. And people will be lining up around the block. You know what, Robert? People are gonna love this place. After a while, it won't feel like Nantucket without it.
Well, I think you're dreaming again.
Ah, maybe. But it's a nice dream, Robert.
Nice dream.
Dreams are important.
Oh, look, we're coming up on land.
Yeah, well, let's bring this dream in for a landing. Hand me that line. I wonder what they're gonna call this place.
Look, the land?
Oh, the building where the dreams happen.
Well, beats me. But that's a problem for smarter folk than us. We just moved the building. We're not getting paid to name it.
I guess you're right, Robert. Speaking of getting paid, now we're on Easy Street.
I see what you did there.
Yes! You agree? Yes. Great job. Nice work. Cut.
And there is one of the great ones, Vito Capizzo, the legendary coach at Nantucket. Is a good one. So that's the Nantucket sidelines. Here's Coach Capizzo on the left side of your 36-yard line. They give down to Reed Coggins. Coggins around the right side. Ryder in pursuit, gets by Ryder. He's tackled initially by 3rd and 2 in midfield for Nantucket. Give to Brian Ryder as the first down and more. Ryder down to the 40. Down, Ryder still going. That bull. Walsh pitches to Fox. Fox around right side. Fox down through the middle. Fox with some running room. He's going to the 5. He's in for the touchdown.
I tell you, excellent. Chris Fox.
They are really work and dedicated, enthusiasm, motivated. If any team deserves to go anywhere, it's this team here. It reminds me of 1981 when we played Christopher Columbus in the Super Bowl.
What's the first thing comes to mind when I hear, thinking about Vito? And it was always Vito, okay? But more than that, man, it was Coach.
He knew how to motivate us, and he motivated, each individual was different. Like he'd approach me and fire me up in a different way where he couldn't do the same to another player.
He's one of those guys, in my mind, you never want to let him down.
Football fundamentally is just, can you beat the other guy, 11 on 11? And Vito knew that better than anybody.
This is your day, man. They're going behind, and they're going to do a lot of cheap shots, a lot of those walk.
Relatively simple game. It's about blocking, it's about tackling. And in order to do that, you have to be disciplined because you have to learn the fundamentals to do that and do that well. Not only for yourself as a player, but for your team.
There are football teams in small towns across America, but there aren't any small towns like Nantucket. There sure aren't many football teams like the Nantucket Whalers.
That's a good throw, Dave.
When Vito Capizzo took over as head coach in 1964, the Whalers hadn't won a game in 3 years. Since 1966, they've had exactly one losing season.
Most of these kids that are playing for me now, I had their mothers and fathers in school. They played for me. They know that I'm not a nonsense guy. I think maybe when you said you hear a lot of war stories about hitting people with a 2x4, some of those stories are true. Unfortunately, in my later years, I had mellowed a little bit.
And people who know him knew about that hard exterior. He came on this rough, tough guy, talking this, talking that. A lot of people knew he was a sweetheart, man, and he had a heart of gold, and that's real. I came on staff in 1985. I think that winning the first Island Cup down here really stuck.
Gonna see if he can get his first pass off. He gets outside the containment. Rolls, Jeff, looking downfield. He's got Fox out there. He catches the pass. Touchdown, Nantucket. A great play, Jeff Walsh.
My father played, and all my uncles played. It's pretty much a family thing. My mother was a cheerleader, my grandmother was a cheerleader, and they've all played for that man over there. I mean, it's sort of, he's sort of an Ori, Coach Capizzo.
But it should be no pressure. You guys had a great week of practice, okay? Destiny's in our hands.
If you really want to know what football on Nantucket is all about, You only have to do one thing. Go to a home game.
Sights in a slot. Gardner in motion. Here's his man open in the corner. Touchdown!
I think we just made the island proud and played with a bunch of good guys that were all had the same mentality. It's just to, win football games.
He always used to yell at me all the time. And one time I said, why are you always yelling at me? It seems, and he goes, well, the reason why I'm yelling at you is because I see something in you. I thought he had something against me, but it was always just to make me better. That's all he ever wanted from me is to make me be the best that I could be. When he said we're going to do captains, I remember him saying, a captain's not a person who scores the most touchdowns. The captain is a person who is going to help other players be the best that they can be.
Coach is counting on me. He relies on me, I've got to try and be a leader as much as I can.
Teamwork, hard work, commitment, heart, dedication, all those great attributes that have made me who I am today.
And that drove me through my years where I could have been getting in trouble. I could have gone any number of different paths, but it helped me focus on what was important and who was important. And, it led all the way to when we were seniors in high school, which will be 20 years this fall.
My quarterback, Matty Arisman, he's a midget, by the way. He's got a full scholarship at Bates. And he was hurt. And I had another young man, Ryan Sosby, who took over his place. And an injury does not replace another player. So Ryan's word says, I have no problem, but can I play wide receiver? I said, I don't see why not. And free safety, he caught the winning touchdown. Wow. Matty to Ryan Sosby on the sideline, which Dave has shown over and over again. I thought the kid was out of bounds, but he caught it, he went down, but his knee never touched the ground, and he went in and scored a touchdown. So, I never seen two kids so much happier than they were.
And the crowd goes wild.
Oh, God, yeah. Anytime you beat those grapes, the crowd goes wild.
It's so special, not only for my seniors, but also for the community. And Terry, I think the kids today proved that Willis Pride means a lot to them. We still don't have the killer instinct now. We should have put them out early, and we kept them in there, and almost came down on at the end, which it did, But our kids, I told them at halftime, I said, nobody's going to take that cup away from us in Nantucket. And thank God after 3 years we got it back.
We did what nobody thought we could ever do. Nobody thought the cup was ever coming back here. They thought all the papers were saying the rivalry's over, the vineyard's too good, the vineyard's too big. We proved them all wrong. It was in USA Today, the whole country. Watch NBC later on. Highlights of this game are going to be on NBC. The whole country is seeing what we just did.
That game was truly is still. You think back to high school football, one of the greatest days of my life, and most triumphant games of our lives. You talk to Joey here, another fellow captain who works with us. He'll tell you the same thing.
When you walk around that field over there, think about the 40 years. What do you think about the game?
Well, I think probably the biggest reward I ever got is not financial, because I'll tell you now, when you get 7 cents an hour coaching, it's ridiculous. And the guy down the Stop and Shop puts a can of tuna fish up there, gets $15 an hour. Doesn't make sense. But I think the biggest reward I receive is my former athletes calling me up and say, Coach, it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in a position. As a matter of fact, on my staff, I have 4 coaches. 3 are former students of mine. They were water boys that played football for me, and now they're coaching for me. And that's really, I've been very fortunate in that way, Pat.
It's important to give back to your community. At least that's the way I feel. It's almost like an obligation. You know, that's an obligation that feels right, you know, because the community did so much for us and for me. You know, now it's your time to really give back. And I'm not saying just kind of show up. You know, I'm saying, you know, give everything you have.
First of all, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Get to the point where you step out, okay? And listen, you maybe get knocked down, and you may have dreams that may not come true, but the fact that you're working at that dream, it's going to develop you as an individual. And if you fail at it, you didn't fail. It just didn't come true. Then take that same work ethic and redirect it. Go find out what gives you, what do you have a passion to do? Go and succeed. This is Coach Machado. This is the end of the interview. And this is not only to your children, okay, but this entire community. Whaler pride.
Cheer for Coach Capizzo! Let's go! Coach Capizzo! He's our coach! He's the coach that does the most! The man of whom we always boast! That's our coach! C-A-P-I-Z-Z-O! Coach Capizzo!
In my old town, to duck the news. 2-4-hour lockdown. We made no moves. Now it's
Are you sick and tired of being annoyed by an Airbnb or a pesky summer rental? The loud noises, the late night parties, the screaming, the yelling, excessive bikes and cars, and the goddamn cornhole? It's time to stand up for you and your sleeping family. Let them know. Fight back. We live here. We're not all on vacation. But now there's the Airbnb machine, a technological breakthrough that lets the homeowner send a perfect message to that Airbnb or summer rental. German engineering and Swiss obedience have created a game changer with the Airbnb machine, taking spite and revenge to a new level. Now, let's really take a look at the Airbnb machine in action. Here's how the Airbnb machine works. Airbnb machine. They kept you up all night, but now you can keep them up all morning long. Happy summer, Nantucket.
Good morning. This is Russ Worley with your island forecast for September 23rd. Daytime highs near 70. Surfers across the island are rejoicing for the 6-foot overhead waves that we are expecting along the south shore as a result of Hurricane Ian. Stay safe out there, Nantucket. That's your island forecast for 97.7 ACK-FM.
Oh, look who decided to join us, the two lovebirds.
Shut up.
All right, I think we've reached the point in the night, and I've had enough beers, where it's time to tell scary stories.
Oh no.
No, it's something completely different. You've never heard of it before. It's about Margaret Kilcoyne, This woman who disappeared back in the 80s in Nantucket.
Ooh, this should be good.
So she was apparently this brilliant doctor who was delusional in the back half of her career before she disappeared. She was convinced that she would win this Nobel Peace Prize because of her great discoveries. Her brother had apparently taken her from New York to Nantucket for psychiatric help. She claimed she had found a way to find the impact of her discovery years into the future. Oh, so now you're interested.
Just go on.
Well, she vanished.
Well, what do you mean, vanished?
They checked everywhere. There was a island-wide search, and they had found nothing. 50 years later, she was found walking in Boston, and she looked the exact same as she did when she disappeared.
So what, she, like, time traveled? Yeah, I'm calling bullshit. Honestly, one of your better stories.
Whatever. On another note, penguins are the most overrated animal.
Okay, that's our cue. Let's go.
Wait, where are you guys going?
A little late night stargazing at the beach.
Lame. You're gonna miss a great conversation.
What the hell? Okay, it's not real.
What?
Some guy just standing there looking at us. Look at this photo Cody sent last night. We actually look pretty good. Come on, pick up the phone.
Hello?
Cody,
Ryan, how you holding up, dude?
listen, I have a favor. Look, the night before the last time we all hung out, I mean all of us, you were telling this story. You were talking about this woman who vanished. What was her name?
What? What does it matter?
I need her name. You said that she had disappeared and she was seen decades later. You even said that there were these theories that she time traveled. I just need her name.
Dude, you ghost me for weeks and then you come with this shit? Come on, Lauren was my friend too.
Look, I'm desperate, okay? I don't care how absurd this sounds, but I just am finding any way to go back. Please, what was her name?
Brian, I was drunk. It's a conspiracy theory. The story's not real. Listen, I get it's been hard for you, but it's been hard for
Cody,
all of
what
us.
was her name?
It was Margaret Kilcoyne. She disappeared and was last seen entering a lighthouse before plummeting to her death.
But you said they never found a body, right?
Can I help you?
I'm just gonna get right to it. This is gonna sound crazy, but I lost someone recently. and I'm looking for any way to go back and change what happened. I was doing research recently on this woman who disappeared from the island named Margaret Kilcoyne. Some say that she time traveled, and the details of her disappearance led me to this address, and I guess I just wanted to see if you knew anything about it. Okay. Sorry for wasting your time.
Hey, come on in. You know, you're the first. No one else has ever figured this out.
So you're familiar with the Kilcoyne disappearance?
Familiar with it? I lived it. I think I was probably 24 years old, living here on Nantucket, when Margaret disappeared. She obviously had fallen from the lighthouse and gotten swept out to sea. Well, that was until I was working in Boston years later, when I saw her.
You're the one who spotted her?
I forgot how long we talked, but she told me what happened that day at the lighthouse.
She traveled through time.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it? She gave me this, the thing that allowed her to travel through time.
That's the totem.
Only someone who truly needed the totem would be determined enough, and frankly crazy enough, to find this.
So why didn't you ever use it?
I never needed it. It seems that you do.
I can't believe this.
Now listen carefully. The totem can only be used at the top of the lighthouse. Unclick it and set it back precisely to the time you want to go to. And when you're ready, click it.
I wonder if it'll last.
Great idea to get these strings during the stakeout.
Save the receipt. It's a work expense.
We should get more work expenses later. Mr. Greener should be here soon if the map that we made is correct.
Alrighty, Polly. Send in the bait.
Alright, I'm going in, and I thought of a backstory for my alias. I'm just a lowly chimney sweep.
A chimney sweep? Just go. Ha!
Blimey, I've been greener!
Hands up, Mr. Green.
That's Mr. Greener to you. Look, Bill Gates is riding the Loch Ness Monster.
What, where?
Hey, wait a minute. There's no Bill Gates and no Loch Ness Monster.
Where's Mr. Greener? There he is! Oh!
Hey.
Get him! We've got a dispatch coming in. Patch him through.
Hello, is this Nantucket Island Police, Precinct 108?
Yep.
We have a person lost in a forest near you. Can you go and pick him up?
Why don't you send in one of your helicopters?
Oh my god.
What's the matter, Derek?
Oh my god. They want a helicopter for a forest rescue?
But why? That's completely normal. Why are you
Yeah.
laughing?
But they're on Nantucket Island.
Oh my god! You know we can hear you, right?
Yeah, we know.
We're heading out. Not in a helicopter, I presume.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Nantucket 108 will be back after this short break.
Has this ever happened to you? Your parents are drinking their cocktails, and you're sad, bored, and alone. Well now, get in with the fun with Cocktails for Kids.
You know, yes, and the taxes, they're just...
Taxes are insane nowadays.
I know.
Have you
Have
heard? All the fun adults are having as kids. Welcome back to Nantucket 108.
We're here! Is that the lady we've been looking for? You've got to be kidding me.
Hey, are you the lady lost in the forest?
Yeah, are you guys the cops I called to come help me?
Yeah, but how are you lost? I mean, you're at the entrance.
It's pretty confusing in there.
Hey, it is. Get in the car. Woo!
Okay. Hi guys.
Hey, it's a bit crowded in the back. So why'd you call the cops when you're right at the entrance?
I'm going to 250 Dukes Road, please.
Were you lost? How's your forest hike?
Well, it was great.
Did you get lost?
No.
Then why'd you call the cops? What's your favorite food? Why are you making small talk?
I really like Mexican food.
I do too! Why'd you call the cops?
Do you play Clash Royale?
All the time, bro.
What type of cycle do you use?
I like the Pekka deck.
Nice. I use a...
Why'd you call the cops when you weren't lost?
Oh, you can let me out right here.
Wait, did you use us for a free ride?
What can I say? You can't get a cab this time of year.
Hey, she's right.
Whew. Oh, well, that's too bad, but it would have been a really long walk.
Yeah, she's right. It would have.
Chuck, I'm telling you, I saw something crazy tonight crawling in my backyard.
Well, you're not the first caller talking about weird stuff tonight. Meteor showers tend to bring crazies out, folks.
I'm not crazy. I mean, maybe Venus is in retrograde or something.
Maybe it is. Whatever that means. Let's get a little crazier, folks. Let's switch over to the sounds of loud but surf.
Hello, my name is... I'm trying to get myself centered. Hello, my name is Joseph and this is my film High School. I thought this could be a really fun film to make because so many people feel different ways about high school and a lot of people want their voices to be heard, and I think this could provide that for them. It was a really interesting film to make because I interviewed students, I interviewed teachers, I interviewed strangers, so I got a lot of different responses, and I think because of that I learned a lot from creating this. Hearing people's stories, hearing people's outlook kind of made me change my outlook on high school, to be honest. And it's not just because a majority of people said this or because some people felt this way about it. I think it's because it put my view into perspective, kind of made me step back for a second and rethink how I thought about it. So it was fun. I learned a lot, and let's get started. How do you think high school could improve?
We could improve it?
Yeah.
Damn, that's a hard question already.
Wow, that's a big question.
That's a difficult one. I was hoping you weren't just gonna start with.
Is that the question? Next question.
Well, I got you. So, wait, can we restart? My bad. If I can improve this high school, no. In my opinion.
What other high school?
In my opinion, I think the phones and the caddies.
You hated that well, dude.
No, it's just anything.
One of the ways I think we can improve a high school is including student voice in the decisions that we make and what we do. Anytime we're deciding a big decision about high school, how to improve it, how to make changes, it's really important that we include the stakeholders that are going to be most directly affected.
Improve by having, I think, more vocational applications, automotive, wood technologies, always fully booked. They can only have so many students there. I think having more electives.
More like real job classes, like classes where you have a job in the future, with like electrician classes and stuff like that.
I would say try to get more like pointed in terms of like individuals and what you want to learn, because I feel like in college you can kind of decide more what you want to learn, whereas in high school it's kind of like forced upon you.
The lunches could be a little better.
Focus on classes that are based on what you want to do as a career in life instead of like all the extra classes, you know?
It's perfect just the way it is.
We need to look at more individualized programs for kids. I think there's a lot of kids who can't do early mornings, and I think there's a lot of kids who would benefit from a later start to the day. I think there's kids who would benefit from small learning communities where if you're just interested in art, then all of your education is focused on that genre of art that you're interested in.
I think that social media probably should not detract from the high school experience. You can see it forcing people to grow up a lot faster and think of themselves as an adult when you should be enjoying your experience.
Maybe a written essay isn't the way to go for everybody, or a multiple choice quiz. But if they were to write a song, create a painting, or they're more effective at communicating, then I think any option should be available to any students with any different type of creativity.
What's your view on high school?
I think high school is a very important time in everyone's life. If this time is used beneficially, it will improve the outcome of a person's life.
It is a crazy important time to identify yourself, your friendships, the things that are important to you in your life.
Time where you first start kind of figuring out where you're gonna take your next steps, start thinking about college, start thinking about like a job. It's also a great time to meet a bunch of your best friends that you're gonna have for the rest of your life. It's the start of the rest of your life, kind of.
When I went to college, I felt like I was in for a very rude awakening because I had not been prepared.
I graduated from Nantucket High School, so I have a very personal investment in not only the school, but in the school community. That's the staff and the students. I think that high school is a incredibly complicated time, which can also present itself with lots of opportunity for fun, friends and teachers, and an opportunity for learning and growth.
Do you think high school prepares kids for the future?
Oh, sure.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. First of all, wait, no, it's my turn. I'm so sorry for the interrupt. I'm seeing people that have like a 1.2 GPA, get out of school, turn to millionaires from like real estate and all that. It doesn't teach you how to pay bills, none of that, bro. All they're teaching you is just complete nonsense, bro. Yeah, they should add like a class where they teach you like how to pay bills, mortgage, and all that family stuff. Like, yeah.
But I think ultimately it comes down to time management, how we interact with others determines how we'll fare later on in life. To quote Bob Marley, only time could tell.
Does prepare students for the future. Maybe not ready to go straight from high school to Silicon Valley or to go work for Elon Musk or kind of technology, but I think high school, at least this high school, helps students think critically, write effectively. I think that we do that.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
There's some classes that do, there's some classes that don't.
What did you enjoy about high school?
Personally, nothing.
I loved all of it. My friendships, sports, the camaraderie that it built.
Being with friends, my experiences with friends, the memories that I have of being in classes with friends.
Not taking myself so seriously, having fun jobs.
I liked hanging out with my friends.
It wasn't bad. Like, I don't know, had a lot of friends, didn't have to go to work all day.
I always liked studying, getting to know more people, having a lot of interesting courses.
Out with my friends, cracking jokes, sitting in the lunchroom. The only things I remember from high school is pretty much that. The friendship. Yeah.
That's
meeting people.
Our community we have, living on Nantucket, you get to know everyone, so that's what I like about this school.
I wasn't very engaged in my education. I think if I would have put effort on my behalf, I would have enjoyed high school more. As the saying goes, you get out what you put in.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Welcome.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
What is your view on high school?
I think it's a really good place for some kids to meet their friends, to get involved in sports, and have a place that they can maybe find what they want to do in life. I also think on another side, a lot of kids can feel lost in some ways if they know exactly what they want to do, and they can feel lost like in the history class or like in a science class when it might not apply exactly to what they want to do.
What do you think could be improved about high school?
I think high school should offer a class where kids can just be creative and have self-expression, because it can take so much weight off your shoulders and really help you find kind of like even who you really are in some ways. High school offered a class for self-expression or just creativity in general.
Do you think high school prepares you for the real world?
I think it really depends on what you want to do in life. We could offer more classes for kids to prepare for the real world. Like personal finance is a very useful class. In some ways it can prepare you.
Do you enjoy high school?
I definitely enjoy some parts of high school. There are a couple classes that I really do like, and there are also some classes that I don't really enjoy. Going to classes that I don't like can actually be a positive thing, because I know there's going to be a lot of things in the real world that I do not want to deal with. If I went to high school and I enjoyed every single class, and then I come home, I did exactly what I wanted to do, that doesn't really prepare me for the future. I'm getting by.
Jesus. I'm
not coming home. So if you want to come here and advocate for Mom and Dad, just don't. Okay, that was insane. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you prefer the lemon mine? Did I ruin lunch? Oh, yeah. Good. Well, that's okay. Oh, good. So you did come here to attack me more. That's awesome. I did not. I just didn't have family implosion on my bingo card for this weekend, and frankly, I think I'm reacting appropriately. Mom is so out of line. She was. Well, just because she married her high school sweetheart, and we all saw how great that turned out. Does that mean that I'm doomed to repeat her mistakes? That I have to follow in the footsteps of my ancestors and be like her? Yeah, I know. I heard that one the first time he said it out loud to Mom. It was very poetic, but a little harsh, don't you think? You're my big sister. Can you please stand up for me? I am standing up for you about some things. Oh my God. You agree with them. You think I should have said yes? No, Do you think you should have said yes? Oh my God. I'm just asking. You know what? You have no idea what it feels like. You have no idea what it's like to be in a relationship for 7 years and go through prom and graduation and college and living together. And then, in the end, none of it even mattered. Because you realize in your bones that that's just not your person. You're right. I don't know what that's like. Yeah, you know what? You don't. Not all of us could be footloose and fancy fucking free since high school. I mean, what was your longest relationship? Like 4 months? Hey! Yeah, so spare me the judgment. I really don't need it. Okay, I know that you've had a hard week. You had to dump some poor guy you don't even like, and you basically performed an exorcism on Mom and Dad just now, but you know what? You're being kind of a brat, and I'm going to need you to cut that shit out. Okay, you're being a brat. McKenna, I'm sorry. Come on. Are you kidding me? That was the most half-assed storm-off I've ever seen. Mom and Dad are doing their best. I'm not defending them. I promise. You were totally right about their marriage. Oh my God, they met right here. 1,000,000 years ago. And then you met Brandon here a less million years ago. I mean, you get that she's projecting, right? She is totally projecting. Do you know what she said to me? She said to me that Brandon would get a hot, new, fertile wife in 2 seconds, but that that was my last chance at a proposal at my age. Wow, that is an especially harsh Gloria classic. Mm-hmm. What did Dad say? He put on a Bill Maher podcast, and then he went into the kitchen. Well, shit. You're such an old hag. I can't wait to hear what she thinks about my marriage prospects. Oh, she wrote you off on your last birthday. She told me after a few martinis. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Great. Love that. Love that journey for me. Cassie, I'm worried she's right. What about me being a lost cause? Oh, she's so right. No. About me. About me and Brandon. Just got it all figured out, you know? We're gonna buy that cute house by the cul-de-sac on the other side of town. He was gonna get a raise in pay like any day now. Talk about having kids, and I would get a part-time bookkeeping job so I could stay home with them. We just talked about all of it. It sounds boring. I know, but I just built out this house of cards into like a really, really tall tower. And then I just put my hand on top of it and I slammed it down. For what it's worth, I don't think you made a mistake. No. I know that I might very much regret saying this because you guys will probably be magically back together tomorrow, and then you will hold this against me for the rest of my life. But I never liked Brandon. What? No, his eyes are too close together. It's untrustworthy. Plus, he can't live in a house of cards, can he? There you go. Ah, it was so comfy though. Felt so nice, just knowing what was coming down the pipeline. And it wasn't right. But it was a simple plan. Was it a simpler plan? No, because actually, you have lost it all. Oh, wow. And nothing lasts forever. Okay. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna go. Leaving. Perfect. Sing. Because you lost it. All right, goodbye. Love the song now.
What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, put him in the longboat until he's sober. Put him in the longboat until he's sober. Put him in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises.
Mr. Hopper, I have something for you.
Well, well, Herman Melville. It's been ages. Seems like a lifetime, really. I'd begun to think that you were swallowed by a whale, you know, like, what's his name? Jonah, you know?
Yeah, that was only like 3 days.
Figure of speech I hope you'll grant me. This is a publishing house after all. Please, have a seat.
My new manuscript.
Ah, the one about the whale.
Yes, it's done.
Really? I was beginning to give up on you. I mean, seriously, how long has it been? A year?
Year and a half, but who's counting?
Well, I was. I thought that was obvious.
Stories this big take time.
Well, that really is big, isn't it?
That's volume 1.
My, that is a serious tome, isn't it?
I think you mean epic. I'd call it an epic.
Well, speaking of which, what are we going to call it? The title of this epic?
I was thinking of calling it Moby Dick.
Moby
Dick, yes. Moby Dick.
This is the story about the whale, though, right? Why can't we just call it The Whale?
Moby Dick is the whale.
Okay, well, all the more reason then. If it's about a whale, why don't we just call it
I like Moby Dick.
You're sure you want to use that word?
Moby?
No, the other one.
Whale.
The other one that you said.
The?
No, I said that one. The one that you said.
Ah, yes. Dick.
That's the one, yes. I'm probably going to regret asking this, but why? What kind of whale is he?
Sperm whale. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. You really don't see the problem here?
Not sure what you mean.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be so direct. Maybe have a little mystery, you know?
Yeah, why don't we leave that writer stuff to me, huh?
Well, typically the publisher is involved in coming up with the title of the book. I mean, after all, I'm the one who's going to have to sell it. And with a title like that... Well, maybe we can split the difference. Moby the Whale.
That sounds like a children's book. Did you think this was going to be a children's book? This is like serious literature and stuff.
So you think for people to know it's for adults, you need to use that word?
What else would you call a whale that would deliberately stove a ship and drown its crew? To me, that sounds pretty much like someone you'd call
There must be other names that you can use. Wait, what did you say? Stove? What does that mean?
The ship gets rammed by the whale. He rams it on purpose, repeatedly.
Well, why not just say ram then?
It's a nautical term. With nautical things, you need to make up words so you sound more intelligent. So like the rope that pulls up the sail, you can't just call it a rope. You have to call it a halyard. For example.
Oh, yes. Like, what's that thing called? The forecastle.
It's pronounced foresail.
Anyway, my point is, the lay audience wouldn't understand stove. They would understand ram.
But if you say ram, the nautical people, the real whalers especially, will think you don't know what you're talking about and the story won't seem authentic. I need to convey that I'm an expert. And I've read an article, been on a whaling voyage, spent a few months in Hawaii, so clearly I'm an expert.
Ah, yes, clearly. And I've only been in the publishing business for 30 years, so what the hell do I know?
Apparently you don't know Dick. Moby Dick.
In any case, the ramming thing is not helping.
Look, my point is that story comes from character. And so the title needs to reflect the character.
Or, more to the point, the whale.
Yes, but to do that, the title needs to be Moby...
Or the whale.
Moby Dick.
Or the whale.
Moby goddamn Dick!
All right. Will you please try to meet me halfway? How about this? Moby Dick, semicolon, or, comma, the whale.
Fine. But Moby Dick is at the top in big capital letters.
Yes, big dick, small whale, I get it, okay!
Way, hey, and up she rises, way, hey, and up she rises, way, hey, and up she rises early in the morning, way, hey, and up, way, hey, and up, way, hey, and up she rises early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? 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 Early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she sailor. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do and up she rises early in the morning. Early in the morning. Early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor in the morning?
Well, now that you're finished with this book, I guess we should talk about what's next. What are you working on?
Well, there is this one other thing, a story I've been thinking about.
Why don't you give me the gist of it? Who's it about?
Well, there once was this man from Nantucket.
Go on.
In the morning.
I was just 18. The year was 1974. How does one assimilate a choice that takes a young woman from a verdant valley out in western Massachusetts to an isolated island 30 miles out to sea, having just finished high school and a semester of college under one's feet? It was a calling within my spirit force, yearning for another dimension, away from a more scripted world where I could freely find my own rhythm by becoming my very own best friend. It was the 70s, after all, a time of striking out for independence and self-regulation. Vietnam ended, Nixon resigned, Massachusetts lowered its legal drinking age to 18, and Roe v. Wade had become legalized in the country. It was a deeply expansive and synchronistic time that I felt attuned to. My decision was deeply intuitive and became a cornerstone to my foundation of eventually learning to trust my future moves and beyond. There were 2 seasons on the island. There was summer season and there was off-season. Off-season began in September. In the 70s, the island year-round population was around 3,600, and summer population grew to 10,000. But at Labor Day, it was over. Summertime offered a reoccurring sense of getting lost in the shuffle. The challenge was in the returning to our off-season that rendered a sense of getting lost, but in a completely nuanced manner. Off-season meant it was time for the island rhythms to coexist in nature and in the offering of a slower pace. Today, the island serves close to 50,000 people. Summer does not end at Labor Day. The transition between seasons doesn't exist so precipitously. Becoming lost in the shuffle is a way of new life as our off-season population is upwards of 16,000 people. Much like our individual evolution of our souls, the call is asking us to reinvent our sense of belonging here in the world and on island. Nantucket has been a muse ever since I moved here as a teenager and fell under the spell of its natural beauty. Nantucket is where I chose to design a life for myself. Looking back at 50 years, the gift of historical perspective gives lens to how evolution, compromise, and personal choice demonstrates that giving back to the island is a way to understand the reciprocity at the intersection of belonging and fitting in. When we belong, we do fit in. We enmesh into an ongoing, ever-evolving collective of caring souls who love coming home to Nantucket, no matter what the season is.
Quinn came into this world on November 21st, 1991. He was a great baby, very sweet. I would say growing up, you know, as a toddler and such, he was always very loving. He loved his family. He loved being at home. He loved, you know, his sister. They're very close and had so many great memories together. They had, Quinn had a lot of good friends, you know, Lauren and Riley and Morgan and Will, and they were in our house constantly.
I mean, there's so many things that like made Quinn remarkable, and he was just so naturally gifted in so many different areas of, you know, whether it be athletics or like art or fashion, and just really just enjoyed life like nobody else. He had a hard time dealing with things that were, you know, eating him up inside, but he was always trying to make, you know, us, everybody around him, feel good and feel loved.
We were all back home for the holiday. We were all home for Christmas, and it was the first time that our close group of friends was together. It felt like the gang was back in town, and we were all so excited. I felt like Quinn was invincible again. I felt like Quinn was back in a really good position. So having that feeling before going away, I spent Christmas with my mom up in Vermont, and I had left like Christmas Eve. And so I was up in Vermont when I got the call from Lauren.
We had Christmas Day, and Quinn was really happy to be home. Everybody that knew Quinn knew he loved Christmas. And I went to run a few errands, not thinking anything was wrong. And then I came back, and I walked up the front steps of the porch, and I saw a couple of gifts from Lauren. And I thought, oh, Quinn must have left with Lauren and just left him on the porch, you know. But I came inside, and I saw his boots, his Blundstones, and his Sperry's. And it was winter, so he would have had one or the other on. So at that point, I came around the corner, and the lights on the tree weren't on. And that's the first thing he did during the holidays. I just went running up the stairs.
And, I'll never forget what she said. She's like, Quinn's dead. And it just sort of like, it was just like this, my mind couldn't, I heard what she said and I knew it was real, but I couldn't, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, when I pulled in the driveway, there was police everywhere and fire, the ambulance, and I was just like, it's just not real. It just can't be real.
I just couldn't help but think that this light, this person who brought so much vibrance and energy into any interaction, I just couldn't help but think that was no longer, that it was like snuffed out.
The work you have out here, you make a lot of money, so you can maintain a habit well, where you're gonna keep your habit going, you're gonna be fed, you're gonna be able to go out, you're gonna be able to hang out, buy the clothes you want. And so I think for a long time, he was really able to keep the appearance up of hey, everything's good here, I'm dressing nice, I've got friends, I've got everything that I normally have, and he's still in really good shape. So it's there was never that moment where I one day looked at him and thought, whoa, you're skinny, or your eyes are sunken in, you look pale. There was
no, he was ripped.
Yeah, he was
very handsome, muscular,
his
tan, it was, if there were signs, they're so subtle that and we were maybe just hoping for the best, that we didn't notice anything.
There is this mind picture of a drug addict. You're down and out, not somebody you want in the house. But they're our neighbors, they're our relatives, they're our friends. We have to destigmatize it so people know that there is a way out.
Our daughter, she brought it to our attention on several occasions because she was really worried about him, loves him very much. And we would talk to him, and he was so convincing that that it was okay, it was under control, everything was okay, Mom, it's all right, don't worry.
I remember vividly, his sister came to me and said, I'm really concerned about Quinn, and I still regret not taking that warning like I probably should have. The Quinn that I knew and spent time with, I didn't have the same concern. I didn't know how to respond. I had no idea what to do.
When you look back, there's those moments where you're like, okay, that behavior was different. But in the moment, you might have the feeling that something's bad is happening, but you don't want to admit it to yourself. I wish that I had just known more. I was young. I didn't know about anything like this.
And same as today, we all go out and we all go drinking, smoking, we're all just just normal people. So I think it's so hard to pinpoint a difference, maybe this is a little worse, maybe he's doing a little more, maybe I think it was hard to just like they said, pinpoint that exact time when it was shit, this is not just drinking, this is not just smoking, this is not just us having a good time all as friends, this has become something much darker, a lot worse.
I truly believe the lowest point of despair is the loss of one's child, the preventable loss of one's child. And we feel it was preventable. Maybe it wasn't, but as parents, I think that's how we feel.
The issue is, when you lose somebody like Quinn, you lose the promise of his youth and what he was going to be or what he could have been. You recognize the effects on his family. And then you have the effects on his friends. And I think this is an unappreciated or unhonored loss.
There's no playbook. There's no right way of going about it. Everyone's unique. Everyone has their own way that, they need to communicate or they need support. And, the stigma against it makes it so that no one wants to seek help, because whatever judgment there is that follows, coming out with whatever struggle you might have.
I had a patient in here today that all of a sudden said, well, I'm a drunk and an addict. I said, well, you're sort of stigmatizing yourself. Those aren't words. that you should use. You have a problem. You know, would you stigmatize yourself with a broken leg?
It's very easy. The way that Quinn got involved, it just happened so slowly. You know, it wasn't like
No.
he took a Percocet one time. And I did ask him, I said, why did, you know, what made you do that? And I said, peer pressure? And he said, maybe a little. But he said, there was a little curiosity too. And he said, when I took it, I got that relief from that voice in my head that said, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. And he said, I liked that feeling. I liked that feeling. Now, anyone that knew Quinn knew he was good enough and he was smart enough. But I think this started when he was really young.
I think if we can listen from an early standpoint or an early stage of, you know, learning of people's struggles before they come to a head where someone chooses to, you know, find a route in which to ease their pain, then that's a much better start than hitting it at at a rehab stage.
You know, this type of thing can happen to anyone. It can happen to absolutely anyone at any point in your life. This isn't something that happens to young people or people struggling financially or emotionally or anything like that. This can happen to absolutely anyone. It's not something that you should hide from people. You know, like if you're feeling an urge to do something like that, you've got to talk to someone, because no one who's struggling with addiction really wants to die, I don't think.
We have to destigmatize it so people know that there is a way out. People have to have hope. If people want to get through addiction, they can.
And that everybody deserves to know that they're loved and that they're important.
Yeah.
And that they mean something. That's the thing he would want everyone to know.
Welcome to our garden. We have a lot of guests in our garden. There are a few who are not welcome. One of our favorite landscape designers, James Van Sweden, once said, "Gardening teaches us patience, but gardens also can teach us to live more in the moment, to listen, to watch, to touch, and to dream as the garden works its peaceful magic."
Okay, Tim, beautiful. Okay, so that was 15 films. Let's hear it for all these filmmakers. Here they are, 15 films. That's a lot of passion. That's a lot of blood. That's a lot of sweat. That's a lot of dreaming, right? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of teamwork. You know, that girl in the last film, she's the director of that film. She wrote that film. She acted in that film. She's our youngest filmmaker. She's 9 years old. Lila, let's, hear you. Okay? Lila Morel Smith, okay, 9 years old. Were you making films at 9 years old, Scott? Maybe you were. I love your film, brother. It was beautiful, but your dad, oh my God. Anyway, all right. So you're going to fill out, I don't know what to say. I'm going to invite the filmmakers up here, but I think you should fill out your, ballots. I guess that's the word, right? And if you need any reminders, okay, I'm just going to remind you these films because they were 15 films ago. It was like last year. The first film was The Crossing, about the Dreamland coming over. And those two great actors, okay, by Dan Driscoll. Coach, Scott Capiso's film. The Airbnb, the beautiful film by Chris Holmes and Doug Cody. Sand and Water, Charlie Waters' film. Jack Bulger looking for peace and quiet, ending up on the beach. Dawn Patrol, Galen, is it Truman? Yeah, Truman. With the two kids surfing, being friends, showing the way to the future. Not Enough Time, Daniel Mezzalingua, I'm sorry, he's not here today, but he was the writer, the director. That was an amazing film. That was the mystery about the couple lying on the beach and the missing Dr. Kilkine, right? And then the way that was shot. Nantucket 108, The Forest Rescue, that's Otis Carey's film with all the kids with the mustaches on. The Eyes, Mike Tim's film. And Mark Palmette, who was the editor of that really spooky little thriller with the guy who gets the creepy thing in his leg. All right? High School, Joseph Costanza's film, interviewing his classmates and teachers and bold move, great. Halftime, Alexander Kopko's film with the two girls sitting in the Vito Capizzo stands at the high school football game. Beautifully acted, beautifully directed. Or The Whale, Mark, is it Kiefer? Kiefer. Oh, there's a key there. There's a K, right, Kiefer. Mark Kiefer. Is Mark Kiefer here? You're Mark Kiefer. Fantastic, right? About Herman Melville coming up with a title. Off Season, Donna L's reminiscence of 1974. The Boy Next Door. Donna L's film was short and sweet, right? That beautiful film. The Boy Next Door, Dr. Tim Lepry's film. Beautiful film about that boy and his family and his friends. In the Gardens, Dan Driscoll's film about his garden. And the final film, The Perfect Pizza by Lila. So that is, all right, remember you're voting for two things. Your favorite film of the evening, and then the best first film. And the first films are listed on the program by the first-time filmmakers. So if you have any questions, why don't we invite the filmmakers up on the stage? You guys want to come up here, please? And I've got some microphones over here. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Don't be shy. Come on up, Mark. Come on up, Scott. Come on up, Tim. Come on up, Charlie. Everybody. Come on, don't be shy. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, don't be shy. Come on up. Yeah, Doug, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I recognize you anyway. You did a fantastic job. All right, anybody else? Any other filmmakers? If you're the director of the film, the writer of the director, I think that makes you the filmmaker. If you're a key person, you edit. Jack, you belong up here. I don't know what to say, man, but you are everywhere and everybody. Fantastic job. Wish you were my publisher. Okay, where should we start? Let's start down here. I usually start over there on the right. Can you pan over here? All right, so can I have your attention, please? I know you're coming and going, but maybe you'll just listen to these filmmakers. I'm going to talk to them about their film. They, people are going back there getting drinks and beer and wine and popcorn. You can feel free to do that. They're tabulating these votes. But let's talk to this is Tim Leary. Tim Leary, yeah. This is a really feel-good doctor, right? I actually knew Tim Leary. He was my father's best friend in high school. They were co-captains of the golf team. But you're Timothy Lepre, and you are my doctor, and probably half the people in this theater's doctor, and you're a great man. We really appreciate everything you do here, but we didn't know that you were a filmmaker. But I think that you want to tell me, I think I can guess what inspired you to make this film, but do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I noted that
I think that's on.
I noted that there were a number of kids that I had passed out diplomas to in the high school that were coming in with addiction issues, and I didn't think it was really being met. I started Addiction Solutions, and then I met the McCuskers, and I got their story, and I was so impressed with the story, with his friends. This is a young man and it's a tremendous loss. Last year, there were 100,000 deaths from overdoses.
In America?
In America. This is one, but you know what? This is one we know. This is one loved by his family, loved by his friends, a great kid and a loss. And so the film was to address the stigma and give people an opportunity with addiction to come out and get help.
Yeah. It's beautifully shot, Phil. It's a great story. It's a brave story to tell. Thank you for telling it. Listen, I had friends who died here in Nantucket from drug overdoses, and I would be surprised if everyone in this audience didn't either know of somebody or hear of somebody. It's just an issue, and you brought it to light. This is the first film in 7 years in all the 95 films that we've made that anybody's dealt with this. Tim, thank you so much for doing that, and I hope it makes a difference. I know it will, and I know your work will make a difference. So. I'm also hoping, because it's so well done and beautifully edited and heartfelt and intelligent, that you'll make another film, maybe not about this subject, but something else that might inspire you along the way. Like, what's it like to be a doctor on Nantucket and like single-handedly hold your finger in the dike of everything that's coming at us? So thank you for everything you do, and congratulations. Okay, really mean it. Thank you. I'm going to just skip down here. I'm just going to kind of skip around on the stage. Hi, you're Donna. Okay, hi. We're happy to see you. So this is the woman who did the beautiful film, let's get the title right again, Off Season. The series of photographs with a voiceover. It was about 4 or 5 minutes long? 3:20, one of the shortest of the films, but honestly evocative and really moving. And I'm sorry to stand right in front of you, Mark, but I just want to ask... Well, right.
Right. Well, Andrew and Lisa inspired me.
Yes, okay.
They actually gave a class in February with Miguel Silveria through Jay Craven on a week's training on filmmaking. Right?
Mark
right.
This as well?
Were you? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So that inspired me back in February, so my brain started, spinning. So,
and that beautiful, whatever it was, editing technique that you used, in your own voiceover, you wrote that voiceover, and that's your voice. It's beautifully done. It's poetry, really. It's so beautiful. And you're leaning on here. This is Mark Pomette, who is really key to all of everything that happens at NCTV as a filmmaker himself. Mark was the one who shot that amazing film about the leech going up the guy's arm and that little horror thriller. That's Mark's film, right, with his buddy. So he's an accomplished filmmaker, But how did you help Donna?
On this one, I helped with the editing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you're a great editor. Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, I loved your film, and it was really beautiful. I'm sure everyone here did, too. You're right next to Mark. So, Mark, your film was the one about Herman Melville going to his publisher, paid by the great Jack Bulger. And that was a surprising film and very funny. It's hard to get an audience to laugh, and everybody, I laughed when I saw all the films earlier today, and I saw it again just now, and I was laughing out loud. So tell us about what inspired you.
Well, the short version is as my custom, I got a little breakfast sandwich from the Hub and walked across the street and sat down with a coffee, and I looked up and noticed that the restaurant that used to be Met on Main was now called Over the Whale, and I got a good chuckle out of that, and I thought, wow, that's so inside baseball. You have to kind of know, if you know the book, you know what that means. Even if you don't, it still works on Nantucket. And then I got to thinking, that title is just so awkward. How did that happen? The quick true story is, Moby Dick was published in London under the title The Whale in 1851. A month later, it's published by Harper's in New York, and the title has somehow in 1 month become Moby-Dick, or, The Whale. Clearly, that must have been an argument that neither side quite won, and this film is imagining that argument between Melville and John Harper, the publisher, and I thought it was funny.
Really, really clever. Really clever. Perfect film on Nantucket. You know, I helped run the Nantucket Theater Workshop, and you gave everybody credit there, but that's not our offices. I don't want people to think we had that fancy offices. But how did we help you? Did you shoot on a set that we had? Yeah.
Entirely virtual. So all of what you see on the desk, that was my great friend Jack Bulger, the great actor, sitting basically on a card table, and it's all green screen. It's completely virtual on the stage at the theater workshop. So shout out to them; they were fantastic.
Thank you. That's our theater, up at Bennett Hall. Jack, will you take a bow because you were the perfect publisher. Thank you. Let's go over to you, okay? So this is your film. Oh, wow, hi. Nice to see you. Hi. Yeah, wow, look at, I don't know, he said hi to me as he walked by a couple times. So I'm sorry, there's 15 filmmakers here, and I haven't met some of them. So you're Galen Truman. Okay, yes. So it was your film, which is called Dawn Patrol, about the two kids who are on the surfboards who go out, and, it's a beautiful film. You're a first-time filmmaker.
I am.
Yes. You are, so congratulations. Thank you. And so tell us what inspired you and how did you get the bravery to make a film?
I was just inspired by the fall on Nantucket, and it's just the most perfect place to be. And viewing it from the eyes of my son and his girlfriend, who's not his girlfriend, but a friend who's a girl, Ida. And we just had the best time filming it in early September. And they just crushed it in the waves. They're just awesome kids, so.
Well, you did it, and I thought that there was I don't know how you felt, Scott, but I mean, a poetry, a simplicity, what's the word? An emotional innocence in their relationships, which is so beautiful, but it showed you kind of what we want to hang on to as adults in our playfulness with each other, and you captured that. I can see why, because you're surrounded by it all the time. But anyway, thank you so much for doing that, Phil.
Thank you.
What's up? Hi. You're Jeff Smith. Hi. Oh, Lila. Hello, darling. So I know you shot the film. This is the last film we just saw. So Lila, wow. Okay, so how can I get a pizza? From you? That was a real experience. Did you burn one and then think, oh my God, that would be a great funny story? Or how did you come to write that little story?
I don't really know how I thought of it. I just kind of thought of it. Well, I was like, I don't know. I just thought of it.
Okay. Thinking of things is really good, but then making them is really harder, right? So you rode your bike everywhere and you came up with this story that. And then are you her father? Yes. Okay, so you asked your dad if he would shoot it so you could act in it as well? Right? Yeah, tell us what was the most fun thing about making the film?
I just think making the pizza and making really funny parts and at the end I caught the pizza when it fell and he got really annoyed with me because I wouldn't just keep doing that, but I caught it so I wouldn't fall on the dirty ground.
Am I right to think she's a clown, right? It was really beautiful, honey. It was really beautiful. But I love when you turn to the camera and you make fun and because you were having so much fun, we had a lot of fun. And that's the secret, right? So you did a great job, and I hope you'll make another film. Congratulations. You're our youngest filmmaker ever. I'm going to come down to the very end. Doug Cody. Well, so we know Doug, as a great musician and a singer, but you're also a fantastic actor and a filmmaker. So you made this film about the Airbnb machine, right? So do you want to, right? Do you want to tell us about that?
What inspired it?
Yeah, I can imagine what inspired it.
Real quick story. Things come full circle. I was woken up at 12:30 at night by a party next door, and I was suddenly thrust into an old man position. When I was pacing out back with my phone, there was probably 70 people out in this back porch. And I'm sure we've all been, if you live on Nantucket, you're going to experience it. And I was getting mine. Because at some point when I was a kid, I was that kid on the back porch. And now here I was out in my boxer shorts with my phone. Be like, honey, do you hear this? This is an outrage. So I just thought, well, let's do something for Nantucket that would be like a revenge thing. So the idea was just, they kept you up all night. Now we keep them up all morning.
No.
A little bit. It was a rough summer, so I figured.
Okay,
let's
so
do it.
it was really well acted. You did a great job. But you had, are those your daughters or
they were
friends?
daughters and friends.
Friends,
and then,
yeah.
co-director Chris Holmes.
Chris, there you are. Yeah, fantastic job. Yeah.
I will say we shot it in an hour and a half, so if anyone wanted to make a movie, you can do it. Just get out there with your iPhone and
What did you
go
shoot it
for
with? Did you shoot it with an iPhone, really?
We didn't. Part of it half iPhone, half camera, but it was quick, and it was busy summer. We needed to do something, wanted to have something for the festival, so we pulled it together in almost an hour and a half. So
Yeah,
you can do
okay,
it.
so that's inspiring to everybody. They don't have months and months to spend making a film, but to make something, shoot it in an hour and a half, and then you edit it and all that stuff, but you had fun, you had an idea, and you went for it.
Get out there and shoot it, right,
Yeah,
John?
brother. Okay. Anyway, congratulations. Fantastic. I'll come down here. Okay. So, hey, high school. Okay. So you did a great job.
Thank you.
All right. So you want to talk about that, right? Not so easy to do. Not so easy to do to talk to. Oh yeah. Thank you. Good idea, Doug. Not so easy to do to talk to your teachers and all your friends and stuff like that. So, what inspired you?
I guess, is this on? Is it working?
If it isn't, use mine.
Okay. I guess what inspired me was I just want to get everyone's different outlook on it because everyone looks at it a certain way, everyone feels a different way about it, and I kind of want to get everyone's opinion about it because I do feel like there could be a lot of things changed about the school system, and I do think there are some good things about it, but I feel like a lot of kids feel strongly about certain parts about it. So yeah.
Yeah. Is that your first film? Is
My
this
first.
on? Yes, it is. Is that your first film?
I make music videos and stuff like that to my songs.
For the first film in this film festival?
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
congratulations, man. That's a major
Thank you.
accomplishment. We want you to make more. All right? So great job. And Charlie, you're right next to me. You're an old friend. Let's do a do-si-do. You go that way. So this is Charlie Walters. Charlie did the film. The other film was starring Jack Bulger. Beautiful meditation called Sand and Water, right? It reminded me of Bergman, right? Black and white and silent, and this very cool score that you composed. Is that right, Charlie? So you've been around a long time, like I have, right? So didn't you start the first music store ever on Nantucket?
I owned it. I didn't start.
Yeah, well, you owned it, but I mean, I think you single-handedly brought records to Nantucket, vinyl, and kept it alive for so many years. So tell us about filmmaking now. This is your first film, right? So you're a music maven. You have your own radio show. So, but tell me why you wanted to take the step to filmmaking and how you came up with this story.
About 5 or 6 years ago, I saw a movie in this room called Undead, directed by Steven Soderbergh, the renowned Hollywood director. He filmed the whole thing using 2 iPhones. And I had never heard of anybody that big, that famous, that successful who had done that. So I thought, well, maybe I can do something with 1 iPhone. Yeah. So what I decided to do, and you hit the nail on the head, I was trying to pay tribute to the films coming out of Europe in the 1960s. Yes. Bergman, Antonioni, Godard, Truffaut. Yes. But I also wanted to pay tribute to Rod Serling.
Right. Twilight Zone.
So the timing of this was my last chance to work with Andrew Cromartie before he left the island, and I thought if I don't do it now, I'm not going to be able to do it. So that's what happened.
Well, you did it. Wow. You did it, Charlie. Congratulations. And thank you. And Jack, once again, you have a way, Jack. Wait, I know you. This is Alexandra
Hi.
Kopko. She's cleverly disguised here.
Hello.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's Halftime is the name of your
Halftime.
film. Okay, so
Yep.
Alexandra plays the woman who comes up and talks to her sister. Is your sister here, the woman, the actress who played
No,
her? She's not. Okay.
Stephanie, my friend, she and I are both actors. We met in New York doing a play, which is where she is right now, but
Yeah.
she sends her love. And she and I just decided we were going to make some stuff this year. And so we shot something in New York that she wrote. We shot something here that I wrote. We went to California to shoot something that our friend in California wrote. And I was basically just like, okay, 2 people, 1 location, no money. What can we make? And this is what we
well, you
made.
did it. It's beautifully written. It's right. It's like a perfect
you.
little short story, and the beautiful and completely believable
Thank you.
relationship with these 2 sisters. Really great.
Thank you very
and is
much.
it your first film?
It's my first time making a film. Yeah.
Okay, well, you're not going to stop here now, right? You already want to shoot more, right?
Maybe the next one we'll make with $1, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, you also shot in the Vito Capizzo
Yeah.
Stadium, so that brings us to Scott Capizzo, who made the beautiful film about his father. You got a mic.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what inspired you to make your film, okay? But I'm very proud of you, and your film really moved me. It kind of moved me to tears this morning when I watched it, because you could just feel the love in that film, Scott. And I know how long you've been working on it, and I talked to you while you were putting it all together. I'm very proud of you for having done it. But you want to talk about what that was like for you to go through all that archival film stuff, and right?
It was very cathartic in the beginning. When I was first watching all the footage, I found the old VCR tapes in his basement, you know, the interview with Pat O'Brien, and the stuff from 1986 was my senior year of high school, long time ago. And yeah, I thought about the things that I let him down on. I went through all that stuff first, and it was so hard, but then when the interviews, I went around and got those interviews from all those former players and coaches, and they were talking about them and stuff, and it really brought them back to life for me. It's been 5 years, you know, and I was ready to kind of open that door. My mom is here, and you know, I went in pretty deep, and then, but when Matty Ayersman, his interview there, you saw that, and when he was the kid, when he was saying, you know, we showed them, everybody wrote us off.
Nobody thought we could ever do it.
It's going to be on NBC tonight, and the whole country's going to know. And you can hear me go, I got all choked. But that's when I felt a joy at that moment.
Yeah.
And then like everything was going to be all right. So.
And then you cut to him as an older guy working here on the on the island, doing everything that he does. Scott, you did a beautiful job. This is not your first film. You've made another film, another wonderful film before this, or 1 or 2, right? Yeah. And I know that you make films and you studied films, brother. Please keep making films. That was really, really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mark, here we are. Yeah, let's go see Don't. Why don't you give him that mic? So, Mark, let's talk about your film. Is your partner here with that? So this is the one called Eyes, okay? The one where the guy's burying something, we don't know what it is, in the opening shot. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully edited. I mean, you guys are professional, serious filmmakers. This is not your first film. It wasn't shot on Nantucket. It was really interesting. It's the only film I've ever seen in the film festival that wasn't shot here. However, it ties into Nantucket because you're intrinsic to the film scene here. So, you want to tell us about what inspired you guys to do this film?
Bored off our ass during COVID was the first one.
What was it? Say it again.
We were bored off when COVID started.
Yeah, bored.
You know, staying home. And then actually my dad, who's sitting right there, who's a great photographer, he got me inspired and, interested in some really good directors when I was younger, because I used to watch a lot of horror movies, like Ridley Scott and Cronenberg and all those types of films. So we wanted to make something that, was a little bit cerebral and kind of a throwback to like 80s type of science fiction.
Yeah, it's beautifully shot, it's beautifully edited, it's beautifully acted by that actor, it's beautifully produced, and so you had your hand in all of that, right? Wait, where's Mark?
I'm here.
Terry. There he is. There you are, Terry Palmette. So, the apple doesn't fall far, right? Because Terry is one of the best still photographers we've ever seen on this island, and videographers. So anyway, congratulations to you, Mark. It was beautifully done. I'm sure we're running a little bit out of time, so I'm going to come to you. Nice to see you. So tell me about your film, and do you have a mic? Here, do you mind if I borrow this one? Grant. So, remind me the title of your film.
The Crossing.
Oh, The Crossing.
It was the first film.
Oh, I thought that was Dan Driscoll's film. Oh, you made it together. Oh, okay, so that's why you're here standing next to each other as well.
Right.
Okay, so that is such a surprise. That's such a funny and perfect film and so beautifully shot. And the perfect opener because here we are in the Dreamland. So what inspired you guys to do that?
Basically, we couldn't afford the drone footage that we wanted to use. We wanted to fly a drone through the Dreamland, upstairs and downstairs, and we couldn't
afford the pilot.
Yeah, so
I want everybody to know. Sorry, this is Grant Sanders, but this is Dan Driscoll. Dan Driscoll, who made the film and who is key to everything at NCTV. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we learned about the story about the old Dreamland building. This building is 10 years old, and the old Dreamland building goes back 100 years from today. So we learned about the story about how it was on Main Street and it went over to Brant Point and then it got floated across here, and we were trying to figure out, okay, what kind of guys do you hire to float a building across the harbor? And immediately thought of Christy Kickham and Caleb Cardell.
Oh, of course you did. Are they here, Christy Kickham and Caleb Cardell?
Christy's
Either
there.
of them? Are they here? Hey, Christy. It was fantastic, brother. I know you only hire actors whose last names begin with K. Yeah, okay. And Danny, tell me about you, because that green screen studio that you have downstairs at NCTV,
Yes.
much like the green screen that you used to make your film about Herman Melville, green screen would be like shooting against this big white thing, except that it's green, and then you paint in the backdrop. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about the magic of creating what you did?
Well, I mean, I think the important thing is to know your shots beforehand. Green screen is there, we get the actors there, but we needed a few props in the foreground, try to make it believable. Fortunately, found this wonderful old house down on Seagull, whatever, right near American Seasons. That was in a stage of rebuilding, but it had those great old wooden planks. So I snuck in with my still camera and shot at different angles. I said, this kind of looks like the old Dreamland that floated over.
Yeah, great.
So then it was just, let's put it together.
And then you had a couple of chairs in front of the green screen
Exactly.
with the rope on
Yeah.
it. So they had this prop, and then it's
As
such
Mark
a beautiful surprise at the end when the everything disappears and you just it's like the Wizard of Oz or something.
I owe my wife credit for that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment. It's a great revolve, and everybody just knows it's the perfect take. They did it in that one take,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Are you happy,
Yeah.
Grant? Right? Is that your voice going? Oh my God, you guys did it.
That was me.
That's you. Okay. Anyway, it was beautiful and it was really funny but also really cleverly done as well, right? So is there somebody who I have missed? Anybody? No. So Lisa, are we ready, darling? All right. So do we have? I'm sorry. Do you want to come up? Why don't you come up with me? This is Lisa Getter. This is the executive director of NCTV.
Paul, can you get that slide up?
She's the wind that fills the sails of this entire organization, I have to say. So why don't you, I'm going to hold this up and you announce.
Okay, so the winner of the Best New Filmmaker Award is...
You want to do a drum roll?
Lila Morel-Smith!
Wow. Okay. So that you know what that is? That's really cool, right? Okay. So that's going to encourage you, we hope, to make more films. All right. You have a home here. All right. Come on up. Let me hold this for you while you do the unfolding.
So the winner of the Audience Award for the Best Short Film is Mark Kiefer for All the Well.
Mark! Beautifully done. Jack, take a bow, Jack. Congratulations. Okay, so we hope that this encourages you. Are you a filmmaker by profession?
Yes, in fact, as we speak, I am on day 19 of a feature shoot. Day 20 is tomorrow. It's our last day, so I haven't slept in about 3 weeks. So I'm so happy to be able to come down here for this, and especially this is just a tremendous honor, and thank you. And by the way, thank you for reconnecting me with Jack Bolger back in the day. I saw you do Moby Dick Rehearsed at the Whaling Museum, and I thought, hey, there's Jack Bolger, and that was terrific. And the experience of filming on Nantucket is just magical and wonderful. We've already shot another one, so stay tuned for next year.
Okay, we can't wait. All right, congratulations. Thank you, all the filmmakers. Thank you, Dreamland. Thank you, Josh Gray. Thank you, Paul Berard. And see you next year. Thank you.
Well, our inspiration for the film, I was eating breakfast one morning on Main Street, got a breakfast sandwich from the Hub, as is my custom, and walked across the street, sat on a bench, and looked up to discover that the restaurant that had been called Met on Main was now called Or the Whale. And I thought, that's really funny, that's really inside baseball. You kind of have to know the book, Moby Dick, to know what it means, but even if you don't, it still works for Nantucket. And then I got to thinking, well, the full title of Moby Dick, of course, is Moby-Dick, or, the Whale. And how did that happen? It was published originally under the title The Whale in London in 1851, and a month later in New York as Moby Dick or The Whale. And I started to imagine, how did that happen? And it sounded like a bad compromise, something done by committee. And so this is imagining the argument that happened between Melville and James Harper, his publisher, over what the title should be. It's 1851, so it's Victorian America, kind of rather prudish. And so I imagined a sensitivity over the title Moby Dick. That's maybe my 10-year-old sense of humor. But anyway, that was the inspiration.
Well, on my first reading of the script, of course, I saw the humor as well. I just thought it was hilarious. And Mark and I had previously worked on a project about a dozen years previous. We were filming over on Martha's Vineyard, and then fast forward about 8 years, he came over to Nantucket and wanted to check out John Shea's Moby Dick Rehearsed at the Whaling Museum, which I was in, and he remembered me, and then he introduced himself, and I remembered him, of course, and he said he had a project he had in mind that I might work well for, so there we go. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, what we call a tag. You see this sometimes even in sitcoms where you have a little piece of story that's after the credits, and it's just puts a little sort of coda on the story. And of course, we all know about this dirty limerick about the man from Nantucket, and so we thought about, well, what could be a fun sort of little tag? Because again, it's this furious argument that sort of finally works itself out. And then you wonder sort of what happens next. And it's just a fun way to get one more joke in to put a nice little coda on the story. And Jack came up with all this wonderful sort of business to do, the padding of his brow, like he's perspiring, sweating profusely because they've been arguing, and that lean into the camera where he says, "Go on." That was all Jack. And it was delightful to watch that happen. We just improv that.
Yeah. Do you do improv?
I don't do improv technically, like I'm not a part of improvisation troupes or anything like that, but in acting you sometimes have to, sometimes you do have to rely on improvisation for, conveying the scene, sure, so.
In any kind of writing, whether it's comedy or drama, you're always looking for tension. And so a punchline is the release of tension when you tell a joke and so forth, and so the dynamics of that are very important. But the way you create tension, I think, in general, is to create juxtaposition, where you have two things that are different happening at the same time. And so that juxtaposition of modern language with a historic period environment creates more of that kind of comedic tension, and that to me is just funny. And so when Melville says, this is serious literature and stuff, right? For example, it's deliberately very modern. Again, there is a tension that you want to reveal just enough to keep people interested, but hold back just enough to have people wonder what happens next. And that pacing, that kind of tension, it's hard to know, and that's why it's so wonderful to see it on a big screen in a room with people. That's the only way you really know if you've got it. But I think a certain amount of I think I know what's coming is good because it keeps people engaged. You just don't want to give it away, quite too fast.